like, got it. Oh, gyms are closed. Cool.
Yeah, we got I don't know, we really lucked out with our community. They're really awesome. They all stuck with us. I mean, we really only lost maybe 10 to 15 members that, they lost their jobs. So it was a lot of financial reasons. So we went straight online and we're running classes through Zoom and running classes through a Facebook Live and trying to do like trivia parties and yoga sessions, like yoga, wine, and dogs is one day we did. So that was a lot of fun, just trying to keep people engaged and stuff. So it was stressful though, that's for sure.
Yeah. Were you guys allowed to like be in the gym running the classes on the computer, or did you have to do it at home?
I mean, we could. So the way we ran it was I ran it right from my living room. I did the first session at the gym, and then we rented out equipment. So we rented out dumbbells. First, we started with plates, made sure everybody got a plate. And then we went to dumbbells, and then we went to medicine balls, and then ab mats, and then barbells, and squat racks. And literally our gym was just empty. Boxes. It got to the point we just gave people, if they asked for something, we had it. We just made sure that they were supplied. And we made sure we programmed. Kate and Maddie did an amazing job programming our online stuff everything was adjustable depending upon the equipment that you had, whether you had a barbell, dumbbell, plates, if you had a box for box jumps. So that was unbelievable. And we just ran one class in the morning, and that was with Facebook Live. So we recorded it and posted on our members page, and then a Zoom with that. And then we ran one Zoom class at 4:30 p.m.
Okay.
So everybody want to hop on there. Yeah. So it was interesting to say the least. I know our dogs, Willow and Diesel, loved it, and so did Whitney. I think a little bit because she's working from home too. So I think she had a fun time. So
That's awesome.
yeah, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, we did the Zoom for a little bit, and we posted like a poll on the Facebook page, and we're like, these are the 3 times we're thinking. The most voted for will be the one we do, and like everyone chose a certain time. I would hop on there, and I did it every day for like 3 weeks, and nobody showed up. And I was like,
Oh, really?
well,
Yeah,
canceled.
in the beginning. Yeah, ours in the beginning was I think it was just novelty. It was like new.
Yeah.
And then eventually it started to wear off. But I mean, a lot of people too in our community, we were posting to our Facebook page, and they were just posting pictures of their own garage gyms, and they were making their own squat racks and like, posting their own workouts and stuff. So they were all still getting after it. So that was really cool to see. And it was just cool to see everybody just come together really.
That's awesome.
And just support one another. Yeah, it was awesome.
That's awesome. So how'd you get started in this fitness journey of yours, Derek?
Well, I was always into like training. I loved sports. Played football at Stevens Point. And then it just at my sophomore year, I had 2 concussions, like almost like back to back. And that was pretty much the end of it. So there was this null of like, what do I do now? Like there's nothing really to train for. I was still going to the gym and I was doing my bicep curls and my bench press and all that stuff. But it just got to be the point that like I didn't have something to train for, something that I wanted to do, right? So one day I got an Anytime Fitness membership because I wasn't making the smartest choices and I was staying out too late, drinking too much and all that fun stuff. Just typical college stuff. That wasn't for me, Eventually got to the point that I wanted to do something and get back to training. So I got a membership at Anytime Fitness, and that's where I met Elvis Kransky.
Yep.
And he was doing some crazy stuff, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I'm doing CrossFit. And he's like, and I was like, well, can I, do it with you here? And he goes, yeah, man. In my garage, I got, a whole bunch of equipment. And I was just like, pump the brakes, man. I just met you. And like, he's already invited me back to his garage with all of his equipment and stuff. So, yeah, we just started doing some workout. And then all of a sudden, eventually I got to his gym and he had like a GHD machine, racks, barbells, all this stuff. Right. And then he showed me about CrossFit Stevens Point. And then I went there and met Alex Rolfs. And then from there, it was just like wildfire. I just was hooked right away. I mean, I started in February, I think 6 years ago, something like that. And I got my L1 by October, and I just learned as much as I could from Alex Rolfs. Like, I love being able to be a part of somebody else's journey too and help somebody. And I've always wanted to do that. My major was in psychology with an emphasis on human services. And I wanted to go to sports psychology and be a coach and all this different stuff. And I was so lucky to find CrossFit because it just sort of just gave me this avenue that I could help as many people as possible. And then mixed with my personality of just being rambunctious sometimes, leading a CrossFit class really was just a lot of fun and getting everybody excited. And I love celebrating people's small victories, and and I love the challenge that CrossFit gives you every single day that you have to overcome. And that's the biggest thing about CrossFit, the mental side of it and how it helps people that way too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, when we met, you were working at a nonprofit. And yeah. So how did you go from working, like you graduated college, you were doing CrossFit with Alex, you knew Elvis. How did you go from deciding to leave the nonprofit to starting or helping start Packerland?
Yeah. So I was probably at CrossFit Stevens Point for almost a year, maybe like a year and a half. I can't really remember, but so what happened was I got my first big boy job with Forward Service Corporation. It was awesome, and I was a case manager. And heading into May, towards the end of May, my dad passed away. So once that happened, I got relocated to the Green Bay office, and from there I was at a different gym where I was coaching as much as possible. I mean, that was like my avenue, being at the gym, working out, coaching. There was nights where I'd coach the 5:15, 6:15 class there, and then go back after work and coach the 5:30, 6:30, and then do one of their fundamentals classes after, right? I was just getting as much experience as I could, asking as many questions. I have a YouTube playlist of like 150 different videos and then some, 2 different playlists, that long, just trying to learn as much as I could on the fly, taking as many courses as I could. And then it got to the point, I always knew that this was one of my passions. And I taught this class called Job Skills Training. And in that class, it was more of like a motivational thing where, I was trying to teach people to find the power within themselves, and doing a lot of psychology stuff like mindset training, and just doing simple mindfulness stuff with them as well. And I just thought, you know what? I teach it. I need to do it because this is my passion. This is something that I have to do. I feel like it's the way that I can help the most people possible. And he didn't have any plan to know when I was opening a gym. I just put in my 2-week notice, and I was like, I'm just going to figure it out. I'm just going to try to get more hours at the gym. I started bussing tables for a little bit while I was coaching. I got my substitute teacher license and started substitute teaching to supplement income. And that went on for about 4 or 5 months. And then the stars just sort of aligned, and I met up with Ty and Hillary Krieger, and they had the same passion. And next thing we know, we were just watching the Super Bowl one night, and we just started applying for an affiliate. And then we had to look for, donations and all this different stuff about how we were getting to money. And my mom actually came through huge. She had some money left over that she was burning a hole in her pocket, and she's like, I'll help you out any way I can. And she was just like, I don't know, I was just so lucky, like the stars just aligned, and so lucky to have the family that I do that believed in me, and the friends that I had that believed in me. And we just sort of from there took off. And it's been a crazy 2.5 years right now, I'll tell you that much. Lots of ups and downs, lots of blood, sweat, and tears, lots of just amazing people that I met along the way, like you, and a lot of people in this CrossFit community that I'm so lucky, to have found this path. So it's been amazing. But yeah, I pretty much started I threw all my chips on the table and said, this is what I'm going to try to do, and this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to help as many people as I can. And I just went for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how long did it take you guys to come up with Packerland? Because I personally think it's fantastic, seeing as I'm from Wisconsin, and the throwback Packer colors. Like,
Oh my gosh. So it's a funny story. We actually so when you submit your names, to the affiliate, like you have to give them 3 names and they have to like go through all of it and stuff. So Packerland was our last choice. Like that was just sort of like, you know what? This is like, we couldn't think of a third name. And we're just like, this is, I don't know, Packerland CrossFit. So our first choice was CrossFit Leap.
okay,
And we wanted Leap to be an acronym. And I think it was, I can't remember the acronym now. I think the acronym was learn something, oh my gosh, I can't even remember the acronym, but it stood for something. And we were doing CrossFit Leap, and we're going to play off of like the Packers doing Lambeau leaps and that stuff. We already had that formulated in our heads. And then our second name was CrossFit Zeno. And Zeno is like a philosopher, a Greek philosopher,
okay,
who's all about like mindfulness and all that stuff. And then we had to think of one more because they made you submit 3, and Packerland was our last one because we were just like, I don't know, the Packers, right? I guess Packerland CrossFit, boom. And they came back, like we were talking to other people who submitted stuff and they weren't getting stuff back for like 3 weeks, right? 3-4 weeks, possibly like 6 weeks. Ours came back in like a week and a half and they said Packerland CrossFit is your name. And we were like, okay, I guess our last choice. But then we started talking about it and we're like, why not like spin out the old Packer colors, like the blue, cream and gold? Like that would be so cool. And turns out Ty knew one of his friends from high school is like a logo design person. He put together these logos for us, like the kettlebell football. And it was just like, from there I was like, all right, we should have picked this name from the beginning because it's actually super, super cool.
it is. I love it.
Yeah, it stuck. It stuck really quick with us, especially the colors. Like that's what I knew, like that navy blue and cream. I was like, oh, okay. I'm into that. That's for sure.
Yeah, and who helped inspire you growing up, and / who inspires you now to keep doing life the way you're doing it?
I think, well, who really inspires my dad first, like for sure. He served 20 years in the military and was just like, just taught me the value of hard work and like nothing is going to be handed to you ever. And like, yeah, he just basically taught me everything that I need to know, and just made sure that when you do something, you do it full ass and you never half ass 2 things, right? You just full ass one and you give it your all to one thing. And when you do that, you're going to check it off your list and you're going to go down to the next piece, right? So he's the one that really inspired me, like, especially when he passed away. I just realized that life is way too short to not go out and attack something, not to do something that you're passionate about. Otherwise, eventually, maybe it's going to come to a point where you're going to live this life of regret and be like, I just sat in this desk job for 40 odd years and just watched time go by, right? And I was living for the weekend, or I was living for this little, 6 months from now when I could take my 2-week vacation, right? So from that point, all the stuff I was teaching in that job skills training class too just applied to what I wanted to do as well. Like I was learning almost just as much as they were learning, as much as I was teaching, and I was reading all these books and I was just trying to figure out, how can I do this and jump out of my comfort zone as much as possible? And yeah, my dad pretty much just said, if you're going to do it, go big. Otherwise, don't do it at all. And from there, I was just like, all right, I'm just going to roll up my sleeves and just going to jump in and see what happens. So he really inspired me to take a chance. And then what keeps me going now is my grandpa. So his dad, yeah, watching him at 87 years old, still chopping down trees and climbing ladders and doing whatever he's got to do up north at our land. And that's pretty amazing to see. And then obviously I think my mom too. My mom is one of the strongest people I've ever met in my life. Like this would not be possible without her. And I just want to make her proud, like every single day. Like I want her to, when she comes visit the gym, like this is what you helped create. And I'm just going to build it, and build this community and teach them and teach our community the same things that you taught me, that, love above everything, show people respect and treat people the way you want to be treated, just simple stuff like that. And just, reflect what she taught me as well. So I think that's what really, really keeps me going right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
And
Getting deep.
Getting super deep. I guess your dad would be the one for the answer to the next question, but anybody else besides your dad help instill the work ethic that you have, that it takes to create a gym and create like success in Wisconsin through COVID, through all the trials? Who helps or helps with your work ethic? Anybody in particular?
Well, it's
Or
definitely my mom.
experiences through the past?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely my mom too. And this is something that I'll never forget. And it goes back to my dad. And it was me and my older brother and my little brother. And like my dad would sometimes just make us do stuff. Like sometimes we'd go up north and he'd just make us like restack wood for just to do it. Just because I think he full-heartedly believed that you just got to do stuff, right? You got to do stuff with no reward and just do it just because you have to, right? So the one day it was like literally like lightning downpouring. Like you couldn't see, like 20 feet in front of you without just a rain of just rain coming down, right? And I remember he was just like, you know what? Grass has got to get cut today. And we were like, what? And he's like, the grass is tall. It's not going to be able to wait another day, is it? And we're like, all right, well, me, my older brother, and my little brother, we went out there and he told us we had to bag it. And we had a huge backyard just to push more. So we're freaking going down. We can only go the grass is pretty long. We kept on doing this like maybe like a half a line and we'd have to stop, bag it. We're drenched in sweat, covered in grass, like just doing all this stuff. And every time we'd be like, can we, come on and dry off or something? Like, nope, got to get it done. Got to get it done right now. And I'll never forget that. Like we just like had to push through, like, and it's so simple, but I must have been maybe like 8 or 9 or something like that, and my older brother was just old enough to just start, be able to push the lawnmower, just strong enough to push it in the thick grass, and we were just sort of just working as a team and getting the grass cut and just doing what we had to do. And my dad was just making us stand out there in the rain just to show us that, it doesn't matter what's going on, you have to do it. And I think that I will never forget that moment, because it was something so shitty at the time, but it was just something that, just really instilled, like, what, when times do get tough or times you think you can't, you just have to. And from there, like even when I was in high school, I'd write little notes and I'd stick them on top of my ceiling above my bed. Like I'd write little quotes like "far beyond driven" or like "you always have to believe." Just stuff every time I woke up, just know like, all right, I got to wake up. I got to go to school. I got to train. I got to do all this stuff to try to stay on the right track. So I think that's what just instilled me. And as soon as I lost sports, it was almost just like, what am I going to do now? And then I found CrossFit, and I think that just instilled back the work ethic that I was growing up learning from my mom and my dad.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. How did your competitive nature from college football turn into competitive CrossFit?
Oh, when I found out that you can compete in CrossFit, it was game over. Like, just, I don't know what it is. It's kind of always been that way for me, I guess. But it was like when I see somebody do something, I just want to try to do it and do it better. And if I can't do it, then I'm going to learn how to do it. I know, like, I ripped pretty good on my hands just the other day, or actually yesterday. And it was this Kate and Maddie programmed this freaking awesome workout. It was like a beautifully designed, really hard time cap, but it was like, I watched Kate do it, and she just finished 1 second before the time cap, and she had to sprint this last 400 just to do it. And that was the 5:15 class that I was coaching, and I saw her do it, and I was like, oh, this is getting me fired up. Like, now I know as she did it, like something you see on the board, and you're just like, I don't know if this is going to be possible, like, to finish, and I saw her do it, and just inspired me, like, what, if she does it, then I have to do it, and that competitive nature. And I had like 12 chest to bar pull-ups left, and I could feel my hands just start to go, and I was like, what, we're hanging on. And literally just like blood was just gushing from both hands, but I knew I had to finish. I had to finish because I saw Kate do it, and it was just like, little things like that, this competitive nature that even I had in football. Like, I want to be the person that's going to hit somebody harder. I want to be the person that's going to outwork the person next to me, just because that's what I think drives everybody around you to do better too, you know? So I think there's a spot for competitiveness though in CrossFit as far as like the sport goes, for sure. But I mean, there's always a little bit of competition. I think that's why people kind of love CrossFit. But as far as regular training for regular life, you know, you need that competitiveness, but that's not the end all be all, right? You just want to, I think it's just more important for people to understand that you have to listen to your body. You know, if you're not feeling it that day, don't feel like you have to go hard in the paint. Like a lot of old CrossFit mindsets are, because it's all about feeling good at the end of the day. So, yeah, I kind of went on another ramble, but
That's totally fine. Rambles are perfect.
yeah, yeah.
And
But
how do you, that brings up a good point though. How do you guys at Packerland like distinguish or bridge the gap between somebody who wants to like make sanctionals now, like rest in peace regionals, and who
RIP.
just wants to like be healthy and fit?
I think we do a great job of saying that if you want to do like the CrossFit competition side or weightlifting side, that training is going to look a lot different than what it's going to be training for like everyday life. Just because it's like, if you want to be able to make sanctionals, that's going to take a lot of, I guess, sacrifices. I like to call them choices, because they're still choices. You're choosing, you know, not to stay out or stay up until 12 in the morning, right? You're choosing to, you know, maybe have the salad over the pizza, right? You're gonna have to make those choices. And we're just, you know, straight up honest with people who that's what they want to do. We just have to lay it out there on the table. Like, this is what it's gonna take. You're gonna have to do extra stuff. You're gonna have to maybe train on days that you don't want to train, because sometimes we just got to get this stuff in, right? And the other side of it, you know, for the health side, I think that there's still those values there, like going to train when you don't want to train, because that's just one of our biggest things is being consistent. The only way you're going to see results is being consistent, but you have to be honest with yourself too. That, you know, say if you're not feeling it, I think our coaches do a great job of communicating with the athletes, making sure that we don't call it scaling, we call it calibration. So making sure they calibrate the workout appropriately, just to make sure that everybody is still getting their sweat on, getting their movement in, but doing it safely. It's the same way when you look at a professional football player and somebody who wants to play for Thanksgiving, right? A professional football player, there's a risk of injury. There's a risk of, you know, high risk, high reward. You're going to put yourself out there on the line and you're going to compete, and you're going to maybe push it too much sometimes. Whereas the person who wants to play just for Thanksgiving in the backyard, we don't want them to get injured, right? We don't want them to get hurt doing with something that they love and doing something that's just one small sliver of their overall life. But on the flip side too, the people that do it for health, we only get them 1 hour a day. We want to make it sure it's the most fun hour of their day. We want to make sure it's something that they can go home and talk about with their family. Like, hey, this happened at CrossFit today, right? And they had a good time. They're laughing, we're sweating. And also we're teaching them a few things along the way that's going to help them out in life. And I think it's just a different mindset that goes into it too. So yeah, long story short, I think separating them both, we just make sure that we're just upfront. If somebody comes to us with that goal, you know, to go to sanctional, it's just like, it's going to look a lot different. It's going to be it's going to be a lot more of the little things that you have to do to make sure that you're successful. So.
Awesome. And do you have any competition like mindset for yourself, or are you planning on doing any competitions anytime soon within like the next 2 years when COVID's over?
I'm going to be doing, well, there's supposed to be a competition going on in September here that I'm partnering with Danielle Sherman. So she's one of the athletes I work with closely too. She is an amazing athlete. She came back from a knee surgery, a shoulder surgery, that she had a torn labrum and she had it for like 3 years or something. And she finally decided to get it like fixed, and she was already doing a whole bunch of stuff. So when we, just her overcoming all that stuff and me being there to help her along the way has been just so amazing and inspirational. And now she's just like ready to compete and get back at it. So we're going to be doing this partner competition coming up. But I've sort of put the competing side on the back burner, especially opening the gym. I try to do both. For a while, I was working with Training Think Tank. I was working with a coach. His name is Ryan Sullivan. Awesome, super smart. Like, dude, he's amazing. I learned so much from him. But yeah, I got to the point where it was just too much. You know, I was coaching almost every class, and plus trying to get the training in, plus trying to get new members signed up, and all this stuff. It just one had to give, and it was the competitive side. And now I just join in the classes. I'm starting to get back into it now that we have a competition coming up, and I can't wait to do it. But yeah, my focus has just been sort of like the health side and just educating. So like on our Instagram and stuff, and just posting a whole bunch of blogs and videos just on mindset, and just trying to, you know, inspire, teach, just trying to give people a little piece of like what happens in our gym and how we practice things and what we're all about. So yeah, kind of what the competitive side for me kind of went on the back burner for a little bit, but now that I have a little more time with more coaches, like I'm excited to start signing up for competitions and get rolling.
Sweet. What's your schedule look like these days? How many classes do you coach a day? Do you just more so like divvy out classes to coaches and then you focus on more of like the new members, bringing them in and doing consults, stuff like that? Or
yeah, it used to be, so we had 5:15, 6:15, 8:30, 12:30, 4:30, 5:30. So I used to coach every class 5 days a week, besides 4 classes. I'd coach every Saturday, and that was probably for a year and a half, almost 2 years. And then we brought on our first coach, and then now we have 3 other. So we have 4 total coaches. Soon to be 6. I have 2 people that I'm going to be working with, trying to get them rocking and rolling.
Awesome.
But so we have, now I'm taking more of a back seat. They're able to coach more, especially since COVID hit, and it's summertime. 2 of our coaches are teachers, are working the schools. So now they have more time. And they're absolutely amazing. They are so good. Kate and Maddie, like they are like such great people and good coaches. And then we have Kaylee, she's amazing. And Selena. So they're all just some great coaches, good people. And they're willing to help out and take classes where they can. And it really has allowed me to take on more personal training clients. Start with fundamentals. We do all of our fundamentals one-on-one, just to build a relationship. We're about relationship building, teaching them the movements properly, teaching them how we coach, introducing them to the culture that we have. And yeah, it's giving me more time to do that, more time to market, more time to be out in the community. I just did a presentation at West Superior High School for a lot of the kids, teaching them about CrossFit and teaching them about like just healthy lifestyle choices and all that good stuff. So, I mean, it's given me a lot more free time, you know, to also my girlfriend and I are moving. So it's giving me a lot more free time now to start cleaning and packing stuff too. So, I mean, that's like been filling up a lot more of my time, which has been super amazing. And also being able to work out with the classes, with the community. And that's been so cool too. So member relations for sure has given me a lot more time.
Yeah, I think that's the big like side of successful gyms these days is when like the members actually see the coaches or the owners like take the classes. So I've been a part of gyms where the like owners were like, all right, I'll come in, work out and head out. But like,
yeah,
work out in the corner. Or where like I've been a part of gyms where like every coach had to like take a class. Or if you worked out by yourself, you still had to take a class. And then you became way more connected with the members because they saw you, quote unquote, suffering along with them. And like especially if a member beat the owner, the head coach, like
Yeah. Did you take a lot of the classes too when you were at your gym?
the last one I coached every single class besides 5 a.m. So I didn't get to
Really?
take any. So
What other class? Do you have like a 6 a.m. too?
no, so our schedule was pretty like, so when I started at this last gym that I was a part of,
Yeah.
we tried to have two gyms. And so my day was, I did the 5:30 at one of the gyms, and then the noon at the other, and then the 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30 back
Damn.
at the other one. Um, but then we ended up just moving everything to one gym, and I would do personal training before noon, then I would coach noon, and then I would coach 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, and 6:30 if we had it. So the only class that I would have been able to take was 5 a.m.
Yeah, man.
So
You're
in the
probably
long version,
exhausted.
no, I did not.
Yeah. You're probably exhausted.
Yeah, I was like, not going to go at 5 a.m. and
Yeah.
take a class, go home, and then come back and coach all day.
Yeah. I think,
So,
and I bet you could attest to this too. It's like the way you could explain like coach, if you really are passionate for it. And I've seen a lot of gyms too, like where the, coach will come in and just sort of like, oh, this is the workout of the day. I'm going to give you 15 minutes to warm up and do whatever. Right. But a lot of coaches, there's also a lot of coaches out there that lead and direct, which I'm assuming that you learned from like the L1, L2, right?
yeah.
It's like, I try to explain for like when you bring that energy, like people are just contagious, right? When you're upbeat, the whole class is upbeat. And if you have an off class, it just like sets this weird mood
Mm-hmm.
and like it's no fun. So like when you're exhausted, which I'm sure that you were, it's like you have to put on this face of just being like, let's go, right? It's
Yeah.
time. And then as soon as you're done, it's like, oh, and you're just like dead. You ever feel that before?
Yeah. And then you're like, all right, next class, you guys are starting with a 400-meter run. I'm going to go pee.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go pee. Yeah, it's just like it was. Yeah, it's just crazy. So I totally understand like where you're coming from. Where it's just like, dude, that's probably the last thing you thought of was to work out, or jump into a class. You're just like, this is an hour to myself. I'm probably just going to take a nap or eat some food.
Yeah. The schedule that I didn't have to be there unless I had an appointment before noon was pretty nice, not having to go there till noon. But my wife and I live a half hour away from where the gym was.
Yeah, dude.
So depending on traffic, if traffic wasn't trash, then it was like 25 minutes. But like go coach noon, and then I'd have from 1 to 3:30 in case like people scheduled consults. So like I would get the workout, like my training in from Michael, like as fast as I could in case like I had consults, or like we'd get consults scheduled at like 1:32, and then I'm like, I have 45 minutes to train, eat, wipe down, then coach for 4 hours. It's like,
Yeah, man.
and,
That's the tough part. The back to back to back to back. I couldn't imagine doing 4 straight. Like that's just like you got to be for 4 hours. I try to be like if anybody's ever like led a meeting or something, in like the business world, where you got to be like on top of your game for that hour-long meeting. It's like that times 2, and then doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
And like, if you get into it, you're sweating just like the rest of the class
Yeah,
because you're
especially
walking
with
around the whole thing.
yeah. Do you guys have AC in your gym?
No, no.
Oh, so
Well,
yeah.
we did, but like it didn't work very well. So we just opened the doors.
Yeah. Thank
So
goodness we have AC. But I mean, we run it like this past, let's say last summer, it wasn't very hot, so we didn't really run it very much. But this summer, thank goodness we've had it because it's like the last 2 weeks have been just so humid. But even when like it's not super humid and you're not running, like when it's super hot out and you just have the gym doors open and you're walking around, like I'm just as sweaty as the class, or would be just as sweaty as the class, because like you're in the moment walking around screaming and like you're like working out almost right along with them. It's crazy.
Yeah, and there's one day where I wanted to see how like many steps or how far I walked during the class. So I like shoved my phone in my pocket, and I was like, "Oh, I just went a mile in one class." I was like, "Huh, no wonder why I'm tired today."
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
did it 3 more times. And it's like,
Yep.
and like when I did my level 2, like I was talking to all these people, and they're like, "Yeah, like I'm full time at the gym, but I coach like 2-3 classes a day." And I was like, "That's not full time." And they're like, "Well, like we have different like duties and stuff. So like we'll like clean, or we'll do this or this or this, or like marketing." I was like, "Oh." They're like, "How many classes do you coach a day?" I was like, 5, like all of them. And they're like, "Do you have any back to back?" I was like, 4.
Oh.
And they're like,
And they know, like, they're probably like, dude, no.
they're like, "What do you mean 4 back to back classes?" I was like from 3:30 to 7:30, I'm coaching.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And they're like, "Oh." Yeah. And like we want, like everyone always wonders why like they have so many seminar staff, because like they teach an hour-long class, like giving it them their all, and then they're just and switch
Yes.
because
I
they're
mean,
exhausted.
it's exhausting, man. It's exhausting, especially when you have full classes, and you're trying to just watch everybody and give them their, like, we always make sure, and the way I teach my coaches, like, you got to make sure that you give people that individual attention, because that's what people are coming for, right? They're also obviously coming to get a workout in, but people want coaching. They want to feel noticed. They want to feel like they're a part of it, So I think it's our duty as coaches, as CrossFit coaches especially, to give the people at least their 90 seconds worth of tips here, bam, 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 move on, and just keep on cycling through. Because I mean, that's what it's all about. So I feel it, man. There's days like where I was coaching all those classes, but then in between doing, like, we call them no sweat intros.
Yeah.
And then after the 4:30, 5:30 class, I'd have like 2 PTs. So I'd be coaching like 7, 8, 9, possibly 9 classes. So like 6 classes and 3 PTs a day, back to back to back. There were those times where I came home and like I was just dead. And then you have to wake up. So I'd come home at like 9 or 10 p.m. and then have to wake up at 4 in the morning to get back to the gym at 5 a.m. and do it all over again.
Yeah, there's like, when I moved up to the cities from Mankato, and I got hired at one job, and one gym, and it was supposed to be noon, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, and the amount they were going to pay me was like, all right, cool, that's it, that's all I need. And then they ended up hiring a second coach to coach the noon class, so I was just doing the afternoon ones. So I was like, I have nothing to do all morning, I might as well find another gym. So I started coaching at a different gym, and she was like, "Oh, you want to coach all the mornings?" I was like, "Yeah, I have all day. Like, I don't have to go to work till 3:30, 4:30. Give me all the classes you want." But it was like 30 minutes away, and it was 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 8:30 a.m., plus the personal one-on-one foundations classes in between there if they got scheduled. So like I'd get up at 3:15, eat breakfast, drive, coach 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 8:30, go home, grab food, go train. The other coach quit, so coach the noon class, go home, eat, go coach 4:30, 5:30, 6:30. And I was like, go home, shower, go to bed, get up at 3:15. And I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah. And I think it just gets to be, some people look at coaches like, at least CrossFit coaches especially, like, we just train all day and like we don't do anything, and I hated that. Like, if you take coaching seriously and treat it as a profession, I mean, it's like, it can be amazing. And, it's the stuff that you can do with people, and the way you can like explain, how the body moves and teach people this stuff and like see them just be successful. Like that's what makes it all worth it. But it's like, there's a lot that goes into it too. I mean, there's like, even standing up in front of a class, it's like presentation skills, communication skills, personal skills, like all that comes to light, you know? So, I mean, there's a lot I feel like that goes into it. It's not just standing up there and just, you know, having a micro set on, like, all right, here we go. Just
Yeah.
grab a barbell and start going. You know, it's like there's way more that goes into it, you know, and it's like it definitely kicks you in the face when you're coaching every single class. Like you and I have done, and I'm sure countless other people have done. Easy to get burnt out. So easy. So easy to get burnt out.
Yeah. And then you make the smart ass comments and people are like, what? It's like, yep,
Yeah,
never mind.
you don't need to. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, there was like, I was just talking about that today. I was talking about it today with, so Coach Kaylee was in, oh, was it Coach Kaylee? I think she was in 8:30 class today. And we were talking about like back in the day when I was coaching every single class, like when it got to Friday, especially, oh, I was just like a little spitfire. I'd just be like quick-witted and just ready to just be done and just sleep all weekend. So I was just like at the point of being like, you know, like somebody would say something and like I'd just say a smart ass remark right back. You know, it's just like obviously joking around, but it was like just take no shit. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like, we're getting this class done. I'm gonna coach you. If you don't want to listen, there's the door. Like we're ready to rock and roll this joint. You know what I'm saying? Just ready to get it done. So I mean, I remember those days. That was pretty crazy. I'm pretty burnt out.
Yeah, I've definitely had those moments, especially with like, I'd be coming in to coach the noon, but I'm already exhausted from the day before because I had like 8 back-to-back stuff. I was just like, oh yeah, here, do that again. And then someone makes a comment about their legs not working correctly. And then I'll make a comment and just be like, oh.
Yeah, and you just get sort of like, shit.
I hope I didn't offend them. Like, why did I say that right now? It's like,
yep.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say it. I'm pretty sure your legs are fine. Like,
yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah.
would you like some ice? Like, you're okay.
Yep.
Or like, I was listening to Jason Ackerman. He owned CrossFit Albany and a few other gyms up in New York, and him and his wife have Own Your Eating. The nutrition cert and nutrition like business. He was the guy that got me my first job down in Florida. He was, so he wrote a new book called The Best Hour of Their Day, where he gives like tips and tricks to help coaches like give people the best hour of their day, right? And he was talking about how like when you're a younger coach and you're like, oh yeah, that's fine. How you feeling? Are you okay? To when you've been in the game a long time and you're like, you're good. Like, no, you're just going to do what I say. Like, you're here to listen to me. Like, or like someone catches you just like sternly looking at them. And I'm just like, I've done that. It's like, yep.
Yeah, you've been there.
It's like, I'm not going to like willy nilly be like, oh, how you feeling? Oh, just take it easy. Like, no, listen, like, I'm telling you this for a reason.
Yeah. But it sort of gets, you can feel that transition almost, you know what I mean? Once you've logged enough hours and had enough experience, it's almost like, I think there's a time and a place, you know, to be, you know, that the coach that sort of tries to make sure you adjust on the fly, but there's also a time and a place where you understand your athletes so much that like, you just know when to push them and when not to push them. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what's super cool about coaching every single class is that you do see that a lot more often. Not saying we still have like I try to make sure like my coaches and I, we coach the same classes consistently because usually the same people come to the same classes. So you get to build a relationship with that athlete. You see how they move. You understand how they work. You know when to, you know, talk to them. You know when to leave them alone if they had a rough day. Because one thing that we like to talk about too is like stress is stress on your body no matter what. Like your body can't tell the difference if you're working out stress with cortisol and adrenaline or if you're at work stress or relationship stress, you know? So if you're already stressed out, tell us so we can make sure this workout's not going to crush you. Otherwise, it's going to be a snowball effect and you're going to feel like shit. you know? So I think there's a time and a place to be, you know, how you feeling, blah, blah, blah. And there's also a time and place to be like, just reading your athlete, just trying to understand where they're at and understand how they work. And that's the relationship aspect. That's our biggest thing. It's like, we have to build a relationship, you know, with these people, with these athletes. Cause if you don't, and if you treat everybody the same, you're treating them like a number almost. I mean, that's when I feel like it gets lost. And that's why I think we did such a good job during COVID. It's like, you know, just, they're all individuals, and just doing the best you can to treat them as that, you know? So for sure, as soon as you get in the game long enough, it's like, this is what we're doing, but also tell me how you're feeling, you know? So we make sure that we adjust accordingly.
Yeah. Like if this hurts, like tell me. Cause like, I know like what we can change to make you still do it.
Yeah.
But like when we make that change, like just listen.
Yeah. And you could see like in their like in the way that they move, and they could see like how they move. There's a lot of times like I'll walk up to somebody like, hey, does that hurt? And they was like, no. And I'm like, you sure about that? Like all you have to do is just tell me, and we can modify, we can make sure it's like not going to hurt, you know? So it's always that kind of battle too, especially as a coach, just trying to make sure people are doing what they're supposed to, but also not doing it just because, you know, everybody else is doing it. It hurts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like they're still doing it. Like that's fine. You're still, it's like, you're going to do it too, just a little differently.
Yeah. You know? Yeah.
It's like, it's okay to sit to a box to do something. Like you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my gosh. It's like, no, you got it.
You got it. You'll do it. You'll be just fine. Nobody cares. Like, you know, it's like we're all here for the same reason, to get better.
You're still going to sweat. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I've had people be like, oh, they're doing it heavier than me. Like, that just means they're going to go slower. Like you do it a little lighter, you'll be fine. You're going to beat them. And then
you'll be all right.
Then they beat them. They're like, oh,
oh yeah,
I won. Like, yep. Like I told you. Thanks. So what are some of your future plans, Derek? Personal, business, anything's fair game?
We are currently in the process of buying out the other owners, so Ty and Hillary. So that's going to be cool. I just have a lot of different plans. I mean, we want to work with a dietitian to start doing maybe some corporate wellness stuff, corporate challenges.
Okay.
Because our space right now, we're kind of like in a weird spot. It's like we have 3,000 square feet in our gym, which is, it's okay, but I mean, we're kind of outgrowing it. And we've been outgrowing it for like the last year. So as far as the area that we're in, there's not much warehouse space. So we're gonna be looking for a new spot. That's gonna be cool. And I think that we just want to expand the Packerland horizon outside of the gym, just to try to, you know, help as many people as possible. And, you know, just teach them that fitness isn't, and CrossFit especially, isn't scary. It's just you know, it's something that we do to live longer, happier lives. And on top of that, it's going to help so many people mentally, like help them build more self-confidence, feel better about themselves. There's something that, and I try to explain to people, I just started for the first time. Like, you ever teach deadlifts and they do their first few deadlifts with weights on it the first time, and they stand up with their last one. You're like, all right, go ahead and drop it. And they don't drop it, and they sort of just set it down. And I'm like, you're missing the best part. The best part is when you get to drop the barbells with the weights on it, because that just releases. There's something in our DNA that just like, we're just barbarians. We just want to slam something down. You know, it's like, it feels good, and it makes everybody feel better about themselves, I feel like. So watching people's first bar slams, that's always always cool. So I think that aspect of it, and we just want to make sure that we're, you know, just showing people that CrossFit isn't what you see on TV. It's CrossFit is a methodology that turned into a brand, and now that's what we are umbrella under. So, yeah, I think there's just a lot of cool things that we have in the works that we just want to make sure that we are, you know, just teaching and educating as many people as possible, and showing them that it's not scary. It's just going to push you out of your comfort zone just a little bit.
That's awesome.
For sure.
And then I know you're big into learning new things. In the past, well, you guys, COVID went away in Wisconsin before Minnesota, apparently, because you guys all got to open before us.
Yeah.
But during quarantine and lockdown, what books did you read or listen to that you think somebody could learn something from?
Well, actually, during lockdown, I was catching up on my with the allowed extra time. I was catching up on my George R. R. Martin Game of Thrones books.
Oh,
so I'm
boy.
about halfway through. I'm halfway through the last book, A Dance with Dragons, and I'm trying to drag that out until he releases the new ones. But some of the best books that changed my life that I would recommend to anybody is Mindset by Carol Dweck. I think I'm pronouncing her last name right. Carol Dweck. It's basically just talks about mindfulness and how to unlock that potential inside of yourself. And then also I would say, oh my gosh, it's by Dr. Russ Harris, and it's The Confidence Gap.
Okay.
That's also a really, really good one. And both those books are just basically about mindset and teaching ACT, so Action Commitment Therapy, and the new wave of mindfulness that's going over all over the psychology world. So I would recommend those two books. Changed my life forever, and I have them all highlighted and stuff. And it's a lot of stuff that I used to teach in my job skills training class that I used to do, and now I carry over into our Packerland. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time to do the podcast today, Derek.
Dude, thank you, Dano.
You're
Loved
welcome.
it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Where can people find you?
You can find us at Packerland CrossFit. So Packerland_CrossFit on Instagram, or www.packerlandcrossfit.com. We post a lot of cool member stories. If you want to get to learn some of our members, and they're awesome, people, why they do it. And we also have a lot of good informational stuff on our blogs. So check us out.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek.
Yeah, thank you, Dano.